Work backwards,
All
not
right.
just throw crap
Since you
against
went
the
to
wall.
Florida, Florio, let's go there next. Yesterday, he had Howie Roseman on the Pro Football Talk podcast, and it was almost like a defense attorney trying to
Well, he
question.
is a lawyer. He is a lawyer.
I know Florio is, and you and I may play one here on YouTube and or on the radio for me or in your column, wherever you're writing these days. We have to know lawyer-like things, even though we're not lawyers. And Florio is a literal lawyer, but I did not know that the Pro Football Talk podcast was a courtroom. Because he was questioning Howie Roseman pretty significantly. And yeah, Howie got a little ticked off. Howie got a little short
Yeah, he
with Mike
snapped back at
Florio
the end.
yesterday.
He called him a conspiracy theorist. And that's, hey, Howie's very disciplined. I laughed about it. Basically that statement was the same statement he gave on draft night when it came down, when they announced the settlements, talked about the ownership level, blah, blah, blah. Same thing. He said it twice. Mike kept pushing, and then he went to the conspiracy theorist route. And that's look, what happened. I've said this pretty consistently. I've reported it. Nobody's going to say it. If you're expecting Howie to go on television or Pro Football Talk or anywhere else and say, Jonathan Gannon lost us the Super Bowl, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that. So if you want to use him as a scapegoat, use him as a scapegoat. That's what I said. But to all these people who think, like Mike was going down the route and so many fans have gone down the route. Again, I ask you, what do you think happened? What do you think happened? Do you think one of the things that amuses me to no end, they played 19 stinking games, Jody. 19 games before the Super Bowl. Right. But all these people compartmentalize the Super Bowl like it just came out of nowhere. Like it came out of nowhere. And these players, by the way, these defensive backs, because that's who I blame. I'm going to be honest with you. That's who I blame for that loss. They were the best communicative defensive backfield amongst the Fangio teams in the entire NFL for the entire season, for the first 19 games. Most of them didn't even get to play the 19th game, obviously. And then they crapped the bed in the second half of the Super Bowl. It happens. James Bradbury, you have two sides of the coin. James Bradbury, accountable. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, not accountable. Yeah, both sides of the spectrum. We have the NFL Films video of Kansas City. Everybody, Andy Reid just embarrassed Jonathan Gannon and just schooled him. They ran the wrong damn play. It's on video. Don't listen to me. Watch the freaking show. They have Patrick Mahomes mic'd up. They handled it better. They handled it better than the Eagles did. Communication. Their communication was great. The Eagles' communication, by the way, which had been great all year, wasn't great. How do you explain that?
It's because Jonathan Gannon was thinking about taking over the Cardinals. Yeah. John, didn't you figure that out?
Of course. And I said, I forget who said it, and I want to give him credit, but one of our recent guests said, it's the NFL. I think it was John Machota. I think it was John. So, it's the NFL. You can have the best coaches. Give me the best players. Players. Now, I'm not saying coaches are unimportant. They're very important. And if you want to blame Jonathan Gannon, go ahead, blame him. But to all the conspiracy theorists, what is your end game? Work backwards. What is the end game? Shane Steichen spent more time with the Indianapolis Colts because he was allowed to during the Super Bowl bye week than Jonathan Gannon did to the Arizona Cardinals.
One quick phone call conversation, but I guess that so dissected his brain he couldn't think well enough to prepare for the Super Bowl.
And that's where Mike's been around this. Mike Florio's been around this league for a long time, and you're telling. Oh, you're so immersed in, Arizona won. And by the way, he's already interviewed for head coaching job. This is not like out of the left field that this guy's never been through this before. But then he gets, we're going to interview you after the Super Bowl. and you know, Jody, because I texted you from the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody but not everybody, but a lot of people plugged into things in Phoenix understood Jonathan Gannon was getting that job on Saturday.
There you did.
It's bullshit. The whole thing is bullshit, and it won't die. So I ask all these conspiracy theorists to work backwards. So figure out where you want it to go and then get it there, because it makes no flipping sense.
And the other thing that you've continually noted since then, and you are 100% correct, Shane Steichen was more involved with the Colts than Gannon was with the Cardinals. And no one is suggesting that Shane Steichen wasn't prepared for the Super Bowl, wasn't ready for the Super Bowl. The reason that Jalen Hurts committed an unforced error, dropped the football in the backfield with no one touching him, had to be because Shane Steichen was thinking about what kind of offense he's going to run with the Colts. Oh, my God. How could they possibly get through the Super Bowl with Shane Steichen not 100% laser focused? Oh, you don't believe Shane Steichen was capable of doing his job? Okay. But you don't believe Jonathan Gannon was capable of doing his job on Super Bowl Sunday? Come on, folks. Yeah. It's the same exact thing. And the ridiculousness of it, as John has pointed out umpteen times, the rules say that Shane Steichen was allowed to talk to the Colts. Why? Because he had talked to them once before, because it was his second interview. That week he was allowed to be in conversation with the Colts. Gannon wasn't, only because the Cardinals hadn't come around to ask permission yet. So they had to pay the price of the lost spots in the third round of the draft pick, which is ridiculous and ludicrous. Either it's you allow them to talk or you don't allow them to talk. You say, hey, no, you can't have any conversations. They're prepping for a Super Bowl. No can do. You can't make those calls. Or you say, yeah, all right, yeah, fine. Yeah. We have faith. The organization have faith that their guys will stay focused on what they have to do and be able to compartmentalize. The fact that one was legal and the other was illegal was ludicrous into itself. But yeah, everybody's looking for a reason. And you know where it is from the fan standpoint. Mike Florio is a different story. But from the Eagles fan standpoint, they didn't like Gannon to begin with anyway because he doesn't blitz enough. So this just gave him more fuel for the fire to dislike Gannon. Then you throw on top of it that he left and he's not even coming back. So, of course, Jonathan Gannon is going to be public.
Well, and that's why I said use him as a scapegoat. If that's what you need, use him as a scapegoat. It happens all the time in the NFL with coaches. And then that's it. Because you don't want to blame the players. I get it. Nobody wants to blame the players. I go with we've been talking about the Sixers a lot. Nobody wants to blame the players. Oh, it's not that Joel Embiid needs this. Joel Embiid needs that. You don't want to blame the players. I get it. You didn't want to blame Ben Simmons for years. I get it. You don't want to blame the players because you love the players.
Until they're no longer with the organization. Yeah. Oh, then they'll throw dirt on that grave real fast, John.
CJ, perfect example. Oh, you got to get CJ back. Oh, it's so disrespectful. Get out of here, you know what? It's part of it. That part I get. That part I understand. From Mike's standpoint, I don't know what he was trying to do. I wish Howie would have went that route. Howie went the conspiracy theory route. I wish Howie would have asked him, like, what do you think happened? What is the grand conspiracy here? What is the grand conspiracy?
Here was the only thing that bugged me about that whole thing, because you and I are on the same page as how it shook out, what conversation weren't, and what effect it did and didn't have on the Super Bowl. The whole Cardinals self-reported themselves. Why did they even go there?
Bullshit.
I know it's bullshit. I'll go 99.9% it's bullshit. Somebody got word that there was a conversation had, so the Eagles dropped a dime. I don't know if Laurie made the call directly. Supposedly, Laurie and Bidwell negotiated out what the draft pick compensation would be. But I guarantee you, someone from the Philadelphia Eagles organization got in touch with the league office and said, hey, this came down and this just isn't right. You have to investigate. They found out there was a conversation that was had that wasn't supposed to be had. And then they said, we're an agreed party. You got to do something about this, league office. Yeah. And they did.
And I've said from the start, and I don't know this, but my guess is that John Ferrari saw it, and that's his expertise, and said, you know what? We can take advantage of this situation. Let's take advantage of this situation. and they gained some draft capital. Winning outside the margins, that's what this organization is obsessed with. They did it. Congrats to them for taking advantage of a dumb rule, which I wouldn't be surprised if they change it soon. And that's the kind of thing they can do unilaterally. You don't have to go through the rigmarole of the competition committee. They could just change that. I wouldn't be surprised if they changed it, but we'll see.
So let me ask you a question. If we both agree, sounds like me more substantially than you, but basically you're on the same page, that the Eagles ratted out the Cardinals, and they were within their rights to do so. We're not saying how could they do something like that. They did it because they felt at least in part aggrieved, and they thought they could get something out of it. And guess what? They did. So good on the Eagles for that. But why the need to say the Cardinals self-reported? I don't believe that. I don't buy that for 1 millisecond. Does it really look that much more above board? Ooh, the Cardinals self-reported themselves, and that's why
safe base,
this, or would it make the Eagles look bad if they were the ones who called the Cardinals on the carpet? Why do you think it was reported the way it was reported?
I think that's sort of what the negotiation at the ownership level is. Look, how can I not look like a blundering fool? And how can I not look like a hall monitor? Jeffrey Lurie and Jonathan and Bill Bidwell. That's my guess with that. It's, how do you save base from both sides? And my guess is, hey, let's blame it on poor Monty. Well, it's Monty's fault. Monty, first time GM, just got hired. Doesn't know all the intricacies of the rule, say, I made a mistake, and you move on. That's what should have happened. I know. But because everything is a conspiracy, that's not what happened.
Oh, sorry if I'm throwing a monkey wrench in here by pointing out that bullshit. They're not. If you don't think the Eagles brought it to the attention of the league as to what went down, and the Cardinals did not self-report. Same thing with college football. The teams self-report themselves for violations. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. They're self-reporting. No, they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, so then they have to put some kind of cover story out there. Sometimes, and the NFL, college football, both guilty of sin, they really do take football fans and football media members, more so McMullen than me, but hey, what can I tell you, for fools. That we can't see the forest through the trees. That when they got caught cheating, but somehow they go, oh, we cheated. Please give it 3 Hail Marys and we'll say our sorry. Will you forgive us our sins? Stop it. We're not that stupid.
They're taking, 7% and 14%, Jody. Let's throw some 7%, 14%. Let's just throw it out there and people buy it. People buy it. I see it retweeted 1 million times. All right, show me the study. They're not going to do that.
It wasn't done by John McMullen or Jody McDonald or Mike Gill. We can assure you that. Our buddy from down the shore, 97.3 ESPN, the host of the Sports Bash, our usual Wednesday morning contributor, Mike Gill, joins us next here on Birds 365.
Do you stream on a road?